I could say countrywide, unsafe abortion is one of the leading causes of maternal mortality and morbidity. Even Bugisu as a region, but also East African, because the report that we did, which is actually here, the violations report we did, is the cases eastern. So the cases are many.
Welcome to yet another edition of Mosan Media. It's indeed a hot day today, and well, regardless, we move the Twina Chakola. That is the way to go. Mungu tanaba kubanga tuwanukula nsonga y'enkuba. Naye nga today tuli wano tugenda kugenda nsonga z'amateeka. We are speaking purely law and advocacy. So today tuli wano ku headquarters is Women with a Mission. Women with a Mission, when we talk of that organization, it is an organization advocating for girls' rights, ensonga ezekuusa ku gender-based violence, n'ensonga endala ezirimu activism oba advocacy. Sijja kubanga I preempt what really Women with a Mission does, but today we are hosting the president, executive director. I think they work same to same. Executive director of Women with a Mission, omukyala Betty. Ajja kweyanjulako eri abatulaba n'abatuwuliriza, then tusobole okubanga tweyongere tukwaniriza ku Mosan Media.
Thank you so much. My name is Betty Balisalamu. I work with an organization called Women with a Mission. My colleague has said, I call him colleague because as organizations we work as partners, and media is one of our partners. So we are privileged to have you here. So about Women with a Mission, like he has highlighted, we work on issues of GBV, obutabankomaka, issues of sexual and reproductive health rights, things like family planning, menstrual health, hygiene of young girls, of course, because there is that stigma around girls having menstrual health issues. And then we have things around maternal mortality and morbidity. How can we respond to ensure women and girls don't die because of issues of unsafe abortions? They don't die because there is no blood at facilities. They don't die because they don't have mama kits. So we are people who do advocacy around maternal health, ensure women and girls are free from violence, and also ensure that the right to health is upheld, that they access services, adequate services, but also quality, because we have seen women or people going to facilities and they are no, the services are there, but they are not quality or they are not adequate. So we do that as our work.
Women with a Mission, how long has it been in service?
We have been in service since 2016 as an organization. Of course, as legally registered as an organization, we have been around since around 2020. So that's how we established as an organization. Yeah.
Women with a Mission, what is its reach?
When we began, it was just basically in Mbale. So of course we have expanded to as far as 9 districts. And basically we handle the districts around the eastern region. That is Mbale, Tororo, Butaleja, Busia, and Kumi, Bukedea, Bulambuli, Soroti, and Sirongo. So apart from Mbale, Tororo, Busia, of course inclusive of these other districts, is more of a legal aid. It's legal aid, yeah, that we provide within those districts.
As an organization that is providing legal aid across now 9 districts, in the eastern region. What have been the common cases you've handled? Because I think every organization has what it rotates around, and for you specifically, I rotate around advocacy and legal aid services. What have been the common issues you've handled as an organization?
We've handled cases of rape or sexual gender-based violence. I've had physical violence where the male partners have inflicted pain. We all know where that comes from. As women, more vulnerable. Women in their diversities are more vulnerable. So we've had partners that inflict pain on their other partners. And it's no longer a dialogue, but issue of commanding. The patriarchy part of it comes out, and then they want to oppress the woman. So we've had cases in that nature where women have been battered, and then we reach out in terms of ensuring that victims access justice, and also perpetrators are accountable for their actions, because it's no longer an era where a man comes and beats a woman. And for us, we believe that the two people are adults and they can vividly dialogue and address their issues. So the issue of physical violence has been at its highest, but also we have seen cases, especially from COVID. You can also attest that we have had cases, so many cases of sexual violence, cases especially of defilement. And it's so disappointing that the cases of defilement are from family members. A father defiling a daughter, an uncle defiling a daughter, or a cousin like that, or sister, brother, you get. So we have seen those trends, and those cases have been many within, especially taking count from the COVID period. And that has contributed also to the fallout of like children from school. Yeah.
Advocacy in most organizations are rotated so much around protecting the women and the girl child, and it seems boy child and the men have been somewhat left behind in terms of their rights being protected. As an organization, have you handled cases where men are victims of GBV and what have you?
We could agree with you that we have seen that of time immemorial, girls have been vulnerable, and as women, we didn't stay and look back and cry, because we have been put down that women are, our place is the kitchen.
Yeah.
But you have seen generation from generation, women have been empowered even when they have not gone to school. Empowerment is not majorly about going to school, but our parents have ensured that the girl child is uplifted, the fellow woman is uplifted, they are not put down, and they have ensured that they are on those levels where they discuss decision-making processes. And that is where you see affirmative action. Nevertheless, even when we have been vocal and out there and ensuring that we sit in these tables to discuss on issues, because let me tell you, you, a man, you will not tell me about issues affecting me in a maternity ward, which was happening, that men would sit on the tables to discuss issues of women while they are in labor wards. So this period of affirmative action has empowered women to be able to speak and be able to sit in tables and talk about issues that affect them, because they know the needs that affect them. But even when we have advocated for prevention and responding to violence and ensuring maternal health issues of women are taken priorities, men sat back. And then we have not handled the cases, but we have had them. The men are so scared to come out and say. We cannot say that the women, because women have been empowered.
Yeah.
But we have seen, or we have attested, that the men have also been victims. even when they fear to report, because that ego. How will they see me reporting? My fellow men will say I'm not a man enough. How can, probably these are people who want to, like, let me keep my how do I call it? Like, I'm not that weak enough to beat a woman. But the traditional man will say it is a weakness in a man. So I'll put it in the perspective of us as women activists or feminists, that we have been advocating for issues of women, but we have over time realized that men should all have to be our partners in terms of ensuring that we end violence. So there is, as women, of course, at international level, global conferences and what, they have met and said, you know what, we need to put men in these discussions. Even if we are talking about issues of ending violence against women. Yeah. It is not women who beat themselves, it's the men. So instead of us, of course, pushing them away, we should dialogue with them. If it's issues of family planning, it takes two to tango. So when a woman wants to, because we believe it's bodily autonomy, yeah. Of course, the woman has charge of their bodies. They can decide whether or not to have children or not. But of course, at the end of the day, we want the men to be involved and say, okay, can we discuss in terms of how many children we can have? Of course, at the end of the day, it is my body to, of course, be affected. But yes, it doesn't hurt when I bring you on the table and say, you know what? We can, because of the standard of living, we don't earn much. Can we have these few children? So we believe that there are men, or we have attested that there are men who have been beaten. But of course, the issue of patriarchy still stands, and they can't come out and report because they will be called weaklings. But of course, we know it happens. I'll call upon them, other organizations, the men themselves, to raise up and start empowering. So as women organizations, we are bringing in, actually this year, while we're doing our work planning, we put a program on male engagement. It's called MEL, M-E-L, male engagement, where it's a me strategy. How do we bring men? How do we engage men? And our strategy is not to engage the bigger men or the elderly from maybe 40, because we know their minds have been already brainwashed. We want to target the young ones and say, you look, a weak man is the one who beats a woman. A stronger man supports. We want to ensure that there is positive masculinity. You know what positive masculinity is? Omuchala, you take them as your friend. You can discuss. It's not about beating. When a woman is going for antenatal, you can be able to escort them, because this is a child. Even when you're busy, get a day or two and escort them. You know. Even
when she's taking the child for immunization.
Yes, you escort and give that support. It's just very simple that it helps in terms of building your relation. There's small things that people or women need. So we want to target the young people to be able to influence the positive masculinity and to say, look, we can do away and be able to. Because let me tell you, if you look at issues of empowerment or issues of development, issues of poverty, violence affect, because let me tell you, someone who has gone through violence, their productivity will be less than someone who has a free mind. So in a way, it affects productivity, it affects development. So we think that we can be able to engage, use the ME strategy, the male engagement strategy, to engage the younger boys, to be able to speak about issues of how do we prevent violence, how do we dialogue, how do we ensure women are in those leadership positions, to make sure that they speak about their own issues and budget for women issues. If it's in terms of I've been, last year I was able to, or privileged to escort someone in in a facility when they were giving birth, and when I was outside, because they were in a theater, a woman came out. She gave birth on she didn't have a bed. She gave out a birth on a bucket, and then Basao came running with the souk and what, and then surprisingly, she didn't have after giving birth, she didn't have a bed, and she sat in the corridors.
Wow.
So who can better speak about such issues than the women themselves who know their issues that affect? So yes, we realize men are now more vulnerable than the women, because women are empowered. They can be able to speak about their own issues. They can be able to empower other women as peers to be able to, but we believe that men are also needed, because we have been fighting. We have put a lot of money, we have put a lot of resources, and we think we can bring men as partners, and especially starting from the young ones. Because when you start from the young ones, their perception, the way they perceive a woman, it's not like a woman is a property. A woman is not a property. So we can be able to change the attitudes, the negative masculinity, and have a better world and be able to sustain our community.
Eastern region in particular, let's say Bugisu in particular, because I think most of the districts you're handling are within Bugisu region and probably outside.
Yeah.
What have been, and I'm sure I've made some studies here and there about different issues affecting women and probably men, in line with the advocacy and what have you. What have you discovered that is affecting women in this sub-region and outside that you've handled and you see there is some change?
I could strongly tell you, like I said, there are so many GBV cases. But even when we have GBV cases, there has been, and you can attest, there has been a number of women and girls dying because of unsafe abortions. People don't want to hear it, but women, girls are dying. Because one, the law is very clear. It's not flexible enough that women now have to go to maybe local herbalists to get out a pregnancy. Girls, we even within this particular community, we have seen so many cases. Like last year we handled cases around 209 cases where girls have experienced cases of arising from complications of unsafe abortions, where someone goes and then they get brass and then they stick there to ensure that the baby comes out, or they get razor blades and then they pound to make sure the baby comes out. So by the time some of them have reached the main hospital, they are already like pus is oozing. We have seen where some of them, like their uteruses have been removed because it has been perforated. It can no longer carry a baby. The only way is to remove it. So we have so many cases, and you know, people don't want they don't want to see this problem, especially among the young girls. Girls are removing unwanted pregnancies. Girls are very actively engaged in sex, and as parents, as teachers, we don't want to talk about issues of sex, whether to abstain if they don't want to abstain, or those who are actively engaging in sex, because even when you say don't engage, they will engage in sex.
So they have abandoned the sex education.
So it is not sex education, it is sexuality education.
Okay.
Yeah. So we need to really, the study we did is, especially, and also the legal aid we provided, 209 cases of girls have 209 cases of girls have gone through unsafe abortions, some of whom have died. We have seen cases like towards the last quarter, we had 3 girls dying of unsafe abortions. So what am I saying is we need as community to ensure that it is a multi-sectoral approach. As parents, we have left our part to talk to our young girls. The young girls seek information from their fellow peers. And of course, a fellow peer won't give you. Maybe it worked good for them, it may not work good for you.
Yeah.
So teachers, we need to establish some of these like health clubs within school where we speak about issues of comprehensive sexuality education, and maybe as stakeholders, as media, how would you frame conversations around comprehensive sexuality education? How would you phrase conversations around issues of menstrual hygiene? How would you frame, because your words are taken by the community as gospel truth. So how would you frame to be able to help the communities to reduce these cases of maternal mortality arising from unsafe abortions? So, but also in terms of the regulators, because the law is restrictive. It doesn't criminalize when women go for unsafe abortions. But we have seen cases where someone is at the verge of dying, and then they reach the hospital. I remember one doctor, and I'll never forget their story. They were Muslim doctors. They had just graduated from university, and within a prominent hospital. And then one girl comes in. She had aborted, and then she wanted to help, and then they sent the girl away. So of course, after a few weeks, they bring the girl back, and of course, for the doctor, it was my religion says this, yeah, and the doctor sent away the girl. So 2 weeks after the parents realized, because of course her uterus had perforated, pus was oozing out, the smell was too much, and she would fall out like blackout. They bring that same girl on the doctor's table to work on her. Like a few hours later, the girl dies. That doctor says every time he sleeps, he remembers the face of that young girl.
Wow.
And he wishes he could ever do something. So it is, we have started speaking about it. It is us to do something. If it's in terms of advocacy around change of laws, around laws where the life of a mother is at risk and they need to terminate a pregnancy, could we really have a law being reformed around that? Because the cases are too many. Yeah.
Wow. As an organization, I'm sure you've handled so many cases. And I think you have successes to record. Maybe briefly, you could share with us that most touching case you've handled, and it was a success, and whenever you sit here, you're like,
yeah. I will give one particular case, and you are aware of it.
Yeah.
Of course, it gives a background of where I'm coming from in terms of the cases of sexual violence within our communities arising. And of course, there was a case, because we knew, when you look at the legal aid, it's more of a personal touch to a case. And then as an organization, we went in through the litigation, litigating reproductive justice in Africa under the LEADER program. With other partners, we took a case through strategic litigation. And strategic litigation is not basically just a case for one person, it's for the best interest of the community. So this particular girl who represented as an applicant in this particular case, this case was in Busia, where she had been defiled, and then she was a victim of defilement. And then when she goes back to school, of course, she wanted to go back to school, and she was denied a right to education. And for us who were like, this victim, you're sending her to the very community where she has been defiled. So like, how are you helping this young girl? Already she's traumatized, and you're sending her out of the school, telling her she's not like any other girl. So for us, we saw that the only protective way is to maintain this girl at school. She may not be like these other girls because, of course, she has a baby to think about, she has to breastfeed. So we took this particular case to court and say, look, court, we need you to make a judgment on this. We need you to have a say on this, because your say will help not just this girl, but those other victims of violence. So of course we took this particular case to High Court, and then we demanded that the right of this young girl, but also other pregnant girls, is upheld. And luckily enough, court was good enough, because it's the center of justice. It upheld that pregnancy alone, because these are girls who have gone through trauma, and you sending them out of school is more traumatizing. So there's need to reinstate them back to school, keep them in school. Sending away pregnant girl is not the solution, because we have seen women who have been pregnant and they produce, and then they went back to school, and then they are now ministers, they are now leaders within the communities. They are built, they have done what. So unsurprisingly, it's the girls who are sent out, So even when some of the boys may be the fathers. So court was good enough, and then they upheld the right to education, and this particular girl didn't go back to that school because of safety and security, but she was enrolled to study a particular course she wanted, and she graduated. But that per se, like I said, this is a public interest issue. Of course, we had cases where schools, especially where churches were funding schools, and then there were battles within schools. You cannot bring in pregnant girls. And then the schools were like, court said this. And then now they are also like, we saw during the end of last year, Ministry of Health putting a guideline on how to help pregnant girls maintain them in school. So for us, it's a plus, because it was one case for one child, but it represented so many girls out there, and we saw news cases coming out, Mbarara, where calling and saying how do we help this, how do we, and they were making reference to that particular case.
Wow.
Yeah.
And maybe by arrangement, how do you set the districts of Bugisu or Far Eastern in terms of GBV and other related activism processes you work under? Probably maybe from Namisindwa to Bulambuli. In terms of, let's talk about Bugisu as a whole. What is the arrangement right from 1 to 10 in terms of GBV?
I can't tell you now, because statistics keep changing. But we can only get that from the police report. But what I could tell you is by last year we had about 2,000 cases. And when you talk about 2,000 and above, most of these cases are unreported cases that have reached the table of those who compile statistics. Because when you look at those cases, some of them would receive cases, and then parents either back out, or police doesn't follow up these cases because they don't have money to do investigations. So there are many cases, I could say.
Wow. Maybe as we are almost winding up, what could be your call to the general public in line with the GBV? And one, let's talk about men standing for themselves, because nowadays, we have to believe it or not, they're also now victims of domestic violence and GBV. And then to the general public in line with what you do as an organization.
In terms of the men, I'll give in the perspective of a women's organization. Is we want men to be our partners in the fight against GBV. So of course we shall bring them as partners, and when you bring them closer, you're not, it's called what? Like pinning them and saying, you look, you're doing bad. Like a partner is someone you have friendship with. So if you bring them and have discussions, it will help in terms of devising means on how to solve issues, be it a woman beating a man or a man beating. Which common ground? Because women have come on tables and have said, look, this is how we can end violence. But they have not looked at the what men want. So I think it's a two-way where we can sit on a table, bring them as partners and share how to fight, end violence, especially against girls. Because when you see the number of women, it's higher than the men who are being facing violence.
Then your message to the general public, what you do?
My message specifically this year, even when I talk about violence, it ends up in women and girls dying of unsafe abortion. Cases arising because of unwanted pregnancies, cases arising because of no access to information, because of course girls think when you have sex you just bathe off and then you're safe. So I want us to look at critically on issues of maternal mortality and morbidity arising specifically on issues of unsafe abortions among young girls. Like I said, between October to December, we had 3 girls dying because of unsafe abortions. But there are so many cases of girls who will never give birth to children because their uteruses were perforated, and the only solution to save their lives is to remove the pregnancy. So we need to take our stand, all of us. If it's in media, which information do you give out there? It's a community or parents or teachers, what role are you playing in terms of reducing these unsafe abortions that end up into women and girls dying? If it's the legal or the laws, how do we make sure that women are saved from this maternal mortality, like through reform of laws and ensuring there is that black and white, which is clear that if a woman is coming to a facility, they are helped and they are saved.
Maybe lastly, as an organization, how does one get your services? What are the requirements, and where are you located? Let's talk about the organization itself. If someone wants your legal advice or legal aid, what does that person do? What are the criteria?
I know we have gone through, we are now more digital, so you can get us on our website. You can just go in Google and say Women of the Mission, because giving you the link will be very maybe hectic, but just go and say Women of the Mission, either in Facebook, Instagram, and what. Our numbers are there, but I can also give you our number, which is 0785 388128. 0785 388128. And also in terms of Airtel, that is 0702 165682 or 0702 165682. So we are really flexible. Anytime you can be able to call us, and we are open to link you up to any lawyer to help you up. We can be able to help. It's rapid legal response. We not only actually give out legal response, but we do engage community. We go out within the community, sensitize them, because let me tell you, ignorance of the law is no defense. So we make sure that people are aware of the laws that govern them, so that they don't say when they reach court or police that they are not aware, unless you just don't want to listen. But we make sure that we go within the communities and speak about the issues that we speak about, issues of gender equality and equity, issues of health, issues of law, issues. So we are diverse.
Well, yeah, Any last message akatalekeka before we close up for today?
Yeah, and the last message is we need to all take a stand, we need to all contribute. It's no longer one organization, it's no longer one person, it is all of us. To change community, to change lives, to change the well-being of everyone. So for us, I would say, women and girls in that diversity, we need to ensure that there is change to cause sustainability, to cause development through sharing information around comprehensive sexuality education, through doing advocacy around legal reform to make sure that laws align within the international human rights standards or health standards that the country has signed as a country.
Yes, I think tetugenda kubanga tusookawo. That has been Betty. What's the other name is?
Balisalamu.
Betty Balisalamu. The name sounds Luganda. I don't know whether she's from Central. Well, that has been Betty Balisalamu, the Executive Director of Women with a Mission. Women with a Mission, the headquarters are in Bali City. BCU quarters, progressive boarding school, but they are actually adjacent to Bali Progressive Boarding Secondary School. So mwena abagala ebyamateeka okubayambako like nga byakinyonnyodde obutamanya mateeka tekikugisaako omusango. Yakyogedde muzu n'agamba nti ignorance of law is no defense. Obutamanya mateeka tekikugisaako omusango. So kyandibadde kyamagezi ffe ng'abantu okumanya amateeka mwe tutambulira. Noba nga bukyokola okimanyi nti okikolera within the law, kubanga mu ebiseera ebisinga bitukola nga tulowooza tubikola kunyumirwa oba tubikola tebirina buzibu, naye ate basobola okukwatira mu kintu kyekimu ne bakusiba oba ne bakuweesa fayini. Aye n'ogamba ate simanyanga baatulugunya ate batuyisa bubi, ne bagenda okubikulira etteeka nga mutuufu obadde omenya etteeka. So kyandibadde kyamagezi nnyo okuba nti we seek advice from such people or from such organizations ne batulungamya ku nsonga y'amateeka okwewala otukwata off guard. Omanyi tekirumanga kuba nti bakwatidde mu bumenyi bw'amateeka naye nga tumanyi tebadde omenya amateeka ate nga mukukwata tebagenda kukusonyiwa kusasula ngassi oba okukusiba oba fayini egirako mwena ogisasula naye ate nga kyosasulira obadde tokimanyi. So better bagamba prevention is better than cure. So kisingako n'omanya etteeka n'oba nga weewala ebintu bimu okusinga okuyiga oba okuyigira mu nsobi. So tujja kuba tumukomyawo. We discuss about very many issues rotating around gender based violence, human rights, n'ebirala ebyekuusa ku advocacy oba activism. Till next time.